Ladies and gentlemen, we have an emergency. Palantir's price target has been slashed to $8.50 from $44. Or has it? So today we're going to discuss that, plus a whole bunch of new news on Palantir and why I think it's a great company. So let's get started. By the way, shout out to this too, like and subscribe. So anyway, there's this new post that somebody created. It says UBS downgrades Palantir Technologies to neutral from buy, cuts price target to $8.50 from $44. Now, there are several things wrong just from this article. Just from glancing at it, you can say this looks wrong. Number one, Palantir stock is $24 today. If this target was cut to $8.50, is that really a neutral rating? That would be a seller rating. That's a seller rating, not a neutral rating. That's issue number one. Issue number two is UBS doesn't even cover Palantir. This is fake. This is a complete fake. UBS does not cover Palantir. Here's a list from TipRanks of the companies covering Palantir and the recent ratings. So it's not even covered. It's completely fake. However, here is a real article from Argus. Argus initiates Palantir at a buy. They're initiating coverage with a buy rating and $29 target. Palantir Technologies provides data management and analytics software for highly complex government and business applications. The company has been dramatically improving its profitability and cash flow over the past year. EPS for first quarter 24 was 8 cents on 21% revenue growth. We're estimating a 2024 non-GAAP EPS estimate of 33 cents and a 2024 forecast of 40 cents, which is a pretty nice increase. But anyway, this is the real one. You can read it yourself. I'm going to move on. But they gave a 12-month rating a buy, a 5-year rating is a buy, and a sector rating is overweight. That is from Argus. So moving on, that's TipRanks. We saw that already. Okay, so Palantir is trading at $24.46 for a market capitalization of $54 billion. Now, just as a little anecdote, where does Palantir get its name from? Recognize this scene from Lord of the Rings? It's the all-seeing eye. And yes, they chose that for a reason. Okay, so the thing about Palantir is you have to focus a lot on the CEO. And this is really the key man risk. This is the biggest risk that Palantir has. So I'm going to get this out front first, and then I'll go into the positives. So I'm going to start with the negatives, then get the positives. So Alex Karp is opinionated, and the company itself is opinionated. The biggest thing that they're opinionated on is they will only sell their software and services to the United States or the United States' allies. They are tightly integrated with the United States government and actually supply software for the government, for the military to run its operations more efficiently. So, if that's an issue for you, then you may want to stay away. But that's really just to get that out there, and just so you know, I don't want to hold anything from you. I don't want to borrow any knowledge from you. Okay, so what is Palantir? How does Palantir compare to Snowflake? What is Snowflake? What's the difference between these two services? Number one, they are vastly different. Okay, first, Snowflake is basically a data analysis tool, and basically it's a all-encompassing data analysis tool. What it allows you to do is take data from any source and analyze it, and then report on that. That's the biggest thing. It's for data analysts, and it can be used for any type of data structure and any type of data. It's a very generalized tool, and it can be used anything for anything. Basically, you define your own table structures, you define your own fields, you define your own field types, and you define what to do with that structure. It is non-opinionated. So what that means is it has its pluses and its minuses. The pluses are its flexibility. This is for Snowflake. The minuses is that it requires a extensive, knowledgeable, and large data science and data analytics team to work with it. It's not really a key turn software. You have to build your system, you have to build your models, you have to build your data structures, and then you have to run your SQL commands against that to get your insights for you. None of it's automated. That's basically how Snowflake works. How Palantir works is, actually I'll get into that in just a second. So how Palantir works is Palantir has different verticals, and basically they're called ontologies in their terminology. And what they do is they have these various verticals that they work in commercial. I'm talking about commercial right now. So for example, you can have supply chains, you can have warehouse management, inventory management, retail sales, all sorts of things. They have like 20 or 30 different archetypes or verticals that they are fit towards. So number one is you have this one, for example. This is the archetype of supply chain. And this is actually, this is Foundry. This is their commercial product. See, as you can see, you have all these different nodes. Each node represents a different piece of information, data, or like a warehouse or something. Each node is like a thing. So each thing has to send data to another thing. So what the benefit here is that everything has to sort of map into this ontology. So for example, if you have, say, inventory, you map it into the inventory. You have parts, you got to map it into the parts, and everything else. What this does is it manages the supply chain. So you can also integrate external supplier information into the supply chain. What this can do is you can model, say for just an example, you can model future scenarios and see where you might get issues. Say, for example, it could tell you in 30 days, 60 days, or 100 days that this supplier is going to run out of stock, and it's going to affect your your manufacturing job because you're running out of supplies, and it will give you a recommendation. You can switch from supplier A to supplier B. That's just one example. And it can do that because it's tightly designed around this supply chain archetype. It's designed to track that type of issue because it knows, it's opinionated on this archetype and like 20 or 30 other archetypes. So that's basically what's built into it. And what it does also is it takes data from a variety of different external data sources and combines it all into one. So for example, you can combine thousands of data sources into this one data model. So you can get it from external suppliers, internal suppliers, things that are outside of your office, things that are inside of your office, all of it sort of feeds into this system. And then it can run its AI and its data analysis on that. So yeah, it's the automated nature of this that sort of differentiates Palantir from the likes of Snowflake and really most other systems. The only real software that's really comparable to Palantir is C3.ai, but they're a smaller competitor. Here's another one. So, for example, this kind of branches off of the supply chain, so you can get things like vessel analysis, carbon impact analysis. So you can figure out your average CO2 emissions, your average vessel speed, vessel utilizations. It gives you all sorts of insights and all sorts of information to run your business better, to find issues in the future now, so you can fix that issue now so you don't run into that issue later. And it's also used by the government, which I'll get to in a second. Now here's a more complicated ontology. This one is, I forget which archetype, but yeah, this is an ontology illustration on just how complicated it can actually get. Theoretically, this is kind of an example. This isn't an actual one. But you can see the lines between the different nodes is the transport of data between those nodes. So you got one node say, hey, we're sending, say, inventory from point A to point B. So you have a connection between those 2 points. And that's what these lines represent. So the other part of Palantir is Gotham. And there's another part as well, which we'll get to in a second. But anyway, Gotham is their government military business. So what this does is that this is actually what Palantir originally created the first software on. The first software was Gotham. And what that does is it takes, again, data from various sources, and it's different types of data. You got video from satellites, video from security cameras, you got information on the people on the ground in this area, all sorts of different data sources, audio, text on the internet, communications, things like that. So in this particular scenario, they're simulating a protest at an embassy and evaluating whether there's a threat on that embassy compound. So they're using security cameras, drone footage to watch the protests and identify threats. And if there is a threat, how to safely evacuate the personnel from that embassy. What's the correct path out of that embassy? So really, this kind of runs the government military operations. So it's very important. And this is a tightly coupled model. The government needs this because it helps the government run better. Now, what else is new about Palantir? What makes it exciting is AIP. What AIP does is it allows you to run large language model queries, like OpenAI type queries against your data. So you can just open up AIP and say, hey, what's my inventory like tomorrow? And then it will respond in text form what your inventory is going to look like tomorrow. So you can communicate with your data. This is actually another differentiator currently between Palantir and Snowflake. Snowflake doesn't currently implement something to this level for artificial intelligence. On top of this, AIP actually has conferences, and this is really where they do their sales. Actually, I will get to that in just a bit. Oh, actually, one more thing is AIP also, you can see at the bottom what it does is it takes data from these various data sources. You got Parquet, those are flat files. So you got Azure files, S3 files, Google BigQuery, and then Snowflake. These are just examples. It does much more than this. And then you can actually do it two ways. You can do it through synchronized data or through virtual tables, and then it maps it into the common Palantir ontology. And the reason why it's like that is because Palantir's designed their system is designed to work on their common model. So you have to map those external models to that customer to that common model. And then from there, you can get to the actual user screens to work with that data. And one of the benefits is that you can actually do it in days now. What used to take weeks or what used to take months or even a year, you can do in days. So anyway, you also have these various workshops, these AIP conferences that people do. So what they can do there is potential customers can go to these conferences and listen to what other customers have to say about AIP and how it benefits their business, how it benefits their bottom line, their top line, and how it makes things run more efficiently. And it's a great sales tactic. It brings in lots of new customers and it shortens the time between a customer inquiry and a customer sell. So anyway, here's more information about the boot camps. There's videos on it, how to schedule a boot camp. And this is really Palantir's moat. And they're establishing this moat as much as possible, and they're becoming difficult to compete with. Again, C3 AI is their only real competitor, and they're leaping ahead of them fast. So new contracts in Q1, the U.S. Army awarded Palantir over $178 million to deliver Titan next-generation deep sensing capability. Also, there's a contract now, or a agreement between Palantir and Oracle, partnering to provide secure cloud and AI solutions that power businesses and governments around the world. AI bootcamps. So what this does, as I mentioned, is you could deploy full spectrum AI in days. This is actually a quote from one of their customers. It says, "These AIP bootcamps are like doing 4 months of work in one day." And actually that was a, Alex Karp actually made a comment telling people, hey, do these two things and see which is better. Do it yourself and take 12 months, or do it with us in 2 days and see who gets results faster. So As it says, since launching AIP in mid-2023, we have completed AIP boot camps with 915 organizations in the United States and around the world. At General Mills, they're saying we're saving about $14 million annually, and it's only deployed to a part of our network. By the way, these slides are from their Q1 presentation, which was about a month and a half ago. From Lowe's, you got in less than 4 months, we created something from proof of concept all the way to production. Palantir has made us faster and smarter. So yeah, in Q1 2024, they closed 87 deals of at least $1 million. So Palantir is growing, and they're growing faster. 27 of those deals are at least $5 million, and 15 of those deals are at least $10 million. Now for the Q1 highlights, I'm just going to go through a few of these. The commercial revenue grew 40% year over year. Or that's the US commercial. Overall commercial grew 27%. Revenue grew 21%. As we mentioned, 87 deals. The customer count grew 69%. Nice. Yeah, I'm childish. Adjusted operating income of $226 million, 36% margin, and the 6th consecutive quarter of expanding adjusted operating margins. That's the other thing is Palantir has been net income profitable for a while now, and they should be they're eligible for inclusion into the S&P 500. When that will happen, who knows, but they're eligible. 5th consecutive quarter of GAAP profitability, 13% margin, yada, you can read the rest. Let's continue. Okay, so here's the history of their GAAP net income. So yeah, they're just getting better and more profitable. Going 2024 adjusted income, we already went over that. But yeah, it's growing significantly year over year. That's a point there. Now for tech companies, they have this concept of the rule of 40. What the rule of 40 is, it is a way to value tech companies. It's really just an addition of two different values. Number one's a growth metric, and another one is a margin metric. For Palantir, what they do, you can read at the bottom, it says the rule of 40 refers to the sum of our revenue growth rate year over year and our adjusted operating margin for each of the periods presented. Just an FYI, the adjusted operating margin actually adds back in stock-based compensation. Some other companies don't do that. Square doesn't do that anymore, but Palantir still does. So if you kept SBC out, they would be below 57%. And their whole idea, the rule of 40, is to be above that. If you're above that metric, the general consensus is that you are executing well. It's an execution metric. So yeah, Palantir has tons and tons of cash. $3.8 billion in cash. How much debt? 0. Debt free. I love that number. So yeah, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.